right, the last game on our agenda today, Sean's going to teach us on how to play Barony. So he's already got the game kind of set up a little bit here, and then from there, I have no idea what's going on.
Well, Barony's a pretty simple game. It's a modular board that you're going to set up differently each time you play, and the size of the board depends on how many players you have. So this is actually a smaller version of what it would be a 4-player game. The 4-player board is actually quite a bit bigger, but we got different types of buildings here. We've got cities, we've got settlements, we've got some knights out there, and one thing I'm missing is strongholds, but that's okay. So throughout the course of the game, after the board is set up, there is an interesting sort of Catan-like setup where people place out their cities. So each player is going to place out 3 cities and 3 knights, and how that happens is the first player places out a city and a knight, and then the second player, third player, and fourth player, and the fourth player actually places out 3 cities and 3 knights, and then the third player places out 2, and the second player places out 2, and then the first player places out 2. So similar like Catan, kind of a boomerang-like setup. And then after that point, we've got our handy D&D player aid here, which shows us all of the 6 different actions we can do on a turn. And very simple. It might look a little complicated, but this iconography very quickly becomes obvious to you what's going on. So cities can produce different knights. Yeah, and 2 or 3 if you're beside water.
Okay.
You can do movement. So when you move a knight, you can move. You move 2 different knights, 1 space each.
Okay.
So it's not 2 movements. I can't decide to move a knight 2 spaces, but I can move 2 knights together 1 space, or I can move 2 different knights 2 different spaces.
So is this an area control style game? Is that what this is about?
It does have a little bit of area control. You could have games with lots of battles, or you could have a game with not too much battles. So a battle actually will look like this. Whenever you move into a territory with other people's knights, a battle may or may not ensue depending on the number. So like, for example, if we had this situation here where we had 1 red knight and 2 yellow knights move in there, well, this guy's going to get knocked off because he's just outnumbered.
Okay.
If you put 2 knights into a space that has an enemy settlement, that settlement's going to get burned to the ground and knocked off the board as well.
And you don't replace it with one of your own? You just destroy it?
Not immediately, yeah. Okay. In fact, talking about replacing, so the third action that you can do is you can have one of your knights settle down and either make a new settlement or a stronghold. So, in fact, you can do up to 7 knights of your own kind. So if I had 7 knights strewn throughout the board,
yeah, but that's going to possibly leave you vulnerable. Then you don't have nothing to defend them with.
Absolutely, but it can be done, and sometimes that's the opportune thing to do. So what's going to happen is you're going to either make a new settlement or a stronghold, and for that you're going to get some reward points. So what we got here is different shield points that you can get depending on the territory you build. So if I were to build a new settlement on a mountainous region, well, it's not too hospitable, so I'm not going to get too many points for that. But if I build on, say, a farmland, well, I mean, that's pretty good living, so you're going to get a lot of points for building on those sort of areas. Now, whenever you get points like this, these are shield points, and they are temporary. So, for example, if I lose a battle up here, I'm going to lose a shield point, and you're going to take from me the shield of your choice. You're probably going to take the 5 if you have that opportunity. Now, you can take a settlement. Let's see. This settlement here can turn into a city, but you only have 6 total settlements and 6 total cities. So
be smart about where you put them.
Yeah, exactly, because those are kind of like your spawn points for your knights. You're also going to get 10 points, and the 10 points is going to be registered here on the scoreboard. So 10 points, if I'm at 40, it's going to move down right to 50. It's just like solid movement. These points are permanent. So
nice.
The goal of the game is to get to 60, 70, or 80 points. The first one to do that is going to trigger game end. Okay. So these points here, like I said, are temporary. However, the very last action that you can do, action number 6, is you can trade in 15 or more points worth of these to get 15 points on the permanent point board. Okay. So the way that works is, let's say I had...
So that's almost like if you did spawn, a bunch of these into cities, gather them up real fast, and then just turn them back in real quick, and then you're getting permanent points at least.
Yeah, exactly. So if I have a situation going on, like let's say it worked out very nicely where I had 15 total points in temporary points, I can turn that, I can trade those in, and I'm going to move forward in a straight line from 50 to 65, for example, and I'm going to get those permanent points down here. However, if let's say, for example, I didn't have such a nice setup, maybe I had 17 points there, well, I have a choice to make. I can keep those as temporary points, but they're vulnerable to be stolen if I lose a battle. Or I could just eat those 2 points and still take the points that are going to, like 15 points to go forward. So it depends on the situation when you want to do that. But those are the 6 actions that you can possibly do on your turn. Pretty simple. I think I skipped this one. So right here, what that means is if I've got knights together, I can discard 1 knight to move another knight anywhere on the outside of the board. So it may make sense for me if I'm all cornered in one side of the board, I can move myself way out by sacrificing a knight to do. Sometimes that's the right move.
Well, movement can be very important.
Yeah, exactly, especially since you only move one space at a time otherwise. Yep.
Awesome. So the game ends once somebody hits the 80 marker.
Yeah, and then what's going to happen is you'll total up your
points
score,
on the board,
and then also these temporary points, if you still have some of those, they are worth their secondary value.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
I was going to ask that next. Okay, so that's why building mountain really ain't beneficial unless you're going to turn it in.
Yeah, exactly.
So awesome. Well, thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate it.
No problem.